About 1,000 athletes converge on Abuja for African Karate Championship. And now the details. I am Mike James. The Lagos State government has reiterated its commitment to continue to upgrade and build resilient drainage infrastructure to prevent flooding incidents across the state. Speaking with newsmen after an assessment tour to check the progress of work as regards the Lagos Island Regeneration Project, ongoing drainage project at Onikoyi, Banana Island, and Femi Pedro Avenue in Parkview Estate, Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, said when the urban regeneration project is completed, it will address the flooding issues in the whole of Lagos Island and environs. Wahab, who also checked ongoing projects, secondary collector drains, lining around Gorodo Market, expressing satisfaction with the level of work that had been done. The Commissioner and his team also checked two other locations, which are on the bridge Idumagbo and under the third mainland bridge along Ojaoba Street off Adeniji Adele, where enforcement had earlier been carried out, ordering traders that are back to vacate the areas immediately. He explained that the Idumagbo underbridge was cleared of illegal structures earlier in the year, but the traders were allowed to do their trading in a way that would not impede the flow and aesthetics of that area. Wahab and his team later proceeded to Parkview Estate to assess the ongoing drainage project, which are expected to drain stormwater from Femi Pedro Avenue into the lagoon, noting that the contractor is expected to wrap up within the next 90 days. He stressed that Lagos, being a coastal state, is exposed to the vagaries of climate change, such as sea level rise, excessive heat, and excessive rainfall, adding that the government must mitigate by not allowing human elements to undermine the drainage infrastructure. The Lagos State Primary Healthcare Board, LSPHCB, has emphasized the urgent need to leverage the advanced technological infrastructure being deployed by the Lagos State Resident Registration Agency, LASRA, to strengthen service delivery and improve access to quality healthcare for residents. Speaking during a walk visit to LASRA's headquarters in Ikeja, the team lead and Director of Fiscal Health, Oladipupo Apudu, highlighted the critical role of data integration in achieving the state's health objectives under the Themes Plus agenda. Abudu stated that it is no longer sufficient to work in silos, stressing that integrating the board's systems with LASRA's robust resident database will empower LSPHCB with real-time data to make better decisions, deliver targeted interventions, and reach underserved communities more efficiently and effectively. He said Lagos State government has digitalized 100 healthcare centers out of over 300, which will be used as a pilot test. Responding to the LSPHCB team, General Manager, LASRA, Bilikis Adebi Abiola, who was represented by the Director, Information Management and Data Processing, Christiana Farutimi, agreed that the meeting was no doubt about building a smarter healthcare system where every resident counts and none is left behind. Adebi Abiola also called on residents to register or update their information with LASRA to enjoy streamlined access to healthcare services and other state benefits. The Nigerian Medical Association, NMA, has warned that it will ground medical services nationwide if the government fails to meet its demands, as the 21-day ultimatum it issued to the federal government draws to a close on July 23. NMA President Bala Audu, who confirmed this, said the association is prepared to take decisive action should the government fail to respond adequately to its demands. Audu stressed that the association's demands are critical to the survival of Nigeria's healthcare system and the welfare of medical professionals across the country. The NMA president expressed concern that time is running out, noting that unless the meeting is held within the next few days, the association may be left with no other alternative but industrial action. It will recall that the NMA had on July 2 issued an ultimatum in protest against a circular from the National Salaries, Incomes and Wages Commission on revised allowances for medical and dental officers in the Federal Republic Service, which the doctors kicked against for violating prior agreements. And now to the rest of the stories. The federal government has announced a 30-day emergency repairs on the Dampi flyover in Nasarawa State following the collapse of one of its beams caused by a collision with an overloaded truck. Minister of Works David Umahi, who led a team of engineers on an inspection tour of the site, said the incident occurred on Thursday, July 17, when a trailer transporting an excavator struck the flyover. Umahi said the federal government is treating this as an emergency and sourcing funds through an intervention window while awaiting full release, as President Bola Tinubu has given a directive for immediate remedial work. The Kefi flyover forms part of a critical transport corridor connecting the Federal Capital Territory to Nasarawa and other parts of the North Central region. The ministry assured that it would work closely with the contractor and stakeholders to ensure a swift and safe reconstruction process. The Defense Headquarters has called on troops deployed in Plateau State to maintain neutrality in the fight against insecurity in the state. The Defense Headquarters made a call when its assessment team, led by Air Vice Marshal Michael Onyebashi, visited the Operation Safe Haven OPSH Joint Operations Area in the state. The visit was to assess the operational conduct of troops and compliance with the rules of engagement, especially in a multi-agency environment. In a statement issued after the visit, spokesman for the Operation Safe Haven, Major Samson Zakum, said the team lauded troops' resilience and fighting spirit across the Joint Operations Area. He added that the OPSH must remain intelligence-driven to address security concerns. The assessment came after gunmen last week attacked villages in the Riom local government area and killed 27 persons in the Bindu Jebu community. And in some foreign news, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba says he will remain in office after his ruling coalition suffered a defeat in upper house elections. Voters went to the polls on Sunday for the tightly contested election, being held at a time of frustration at the coalition of the Liberal Democratic Party LDP and its junior partner Komeito over rising prices and the threat of U.S. tariffs. Speaking after polls closed, the Prime Minister said he solemnly accepts the harsh result, but that his focus was on trade negotiations. Having already lost its majority in Japan's more powerful lower house last year, the defeat will undermine the coalition's influence. The ruling coalition needed 50 seats to retain control of the 248-seat upper chamber, but ended up with 47. And finally, in sports news, about 1,000 athletes from 31 countries have arrived in Abuja for the 2025 African Karate Championship, which runs from today through July 28. President of the Karate Foundation of Nigeria, Silas Agara, said the 31 countries alongside host Nigeria would slug it out on 4 categories of the sport. Agara listed the categories to include the cadet, which would accommodate athletes between 14 and 15 years, as well as the junior category, which has athletes between the ages of 16 and 17. Other categories are senior and para-karate, which would have athletes above 18 years. The KFN president said that the General Assembly of the African Championship would also take place in Abuja within this period. Also, technical director of the federation, Dave Jegede, said Nigeria will be presenting 60 athletes for the championships, adding that the athletes are in high spirits ahead of the competition. And that was our news at noon. Just before we go, always drive within the specified speed limit. You can follow us and like all our various social media platforms. X, Traffic Radio 961. Facebook, Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Instagram, Lagos Traffic Radio 961. Subscribe and watch our news and programs. It's live on YouTube, Traffic Radio 961. Visit our website, www.trafficradio961.ng. You can also listen to Lagos Traffic Radio on my Lagos app for timely updates. Did you know that the Sanwo-Olu administration strengthened alliance with 200 representatives from various women-focused NGOs in the state as part of efforts to alleviate the economic plight of women residents in the state? Well, you can always get more details on the Legacy Government website and to end the news. Here are the highlights of the major stories. The Legacy Government has reiterated its commitment to continue to upgrade and build resilient drainage infrastructure to prevent flooding incidents across the state. The federal government has announced a 30-day emergency timeline to complete repairs on the damaged Kefi flyover in Nasarawa State following the collapse of one of its beams caused by a collision with an overloaded truck. We also told you that Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba said he will remain in office after his ruling coalition suffered a defeat in upper house elections. And then in sports, about 1,000 athletes from 31 countries have arrived in Abuja for the 2025 African Karate Championship, which runs from today through July 28. And for contact with the newsroom, send a message to info@trafficradio961.ng. That ends the news broadcast compiled by Abiola Fagbalagu. Thank you for listening, Lagos. My name is Mike James. Good afternoon.